What does this book, and all these books about creativity have in common? Well, it all has something to do with this book right here. This is my parents' Bible. It's older than me, and technically, it's older than all of us. But last week, I noticed something interesting. It all started when I gathered all my notes on creativity. And I took them and I compared them all with sacred texts and ancient philosophies and spiritual traditions from around the world. I was looking for patterns. And what I discovered completely shocked me. Every major spiritual tradition on earth speaks about creativity as something sacred, something divine, not as a skill you develop or a talent you're born with, but as a direct connection to the source of all existence. In Genesis, the very first thing we learn about the divine is that it creates. In the beginning, God created. The ancient Hindu text, the Vedas, speaks of Brahma, the creator aspect of the divine, whose very breath becomes the universe. The Tao Te Ching, a foundational text of Chinese Taoism, opens with the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao, describing the creative force that gives birth to all things. Buddhism teaches that Buddha nature, the divine essence within everyone, expresses itself through creative manifestation. Every tradition is saying the same thing. Creation isn't just what the divine does. Creation is a divine act, which means that when you're creating, you're not just making art, you're participating in the fundamental force of existence itself. And that's sacred. Real quick, I've collected all my notes on creativity over the past few years and I put them all in one place. If you want access to them, just click the link in the description of this video and tell me where I should email them. Stay with me though, because this isn't about belief. This is about something much deeper. When I say creativity is sacred, I'm not saying it is religiously sacred. I'm not saying it's mystically sacred. I'm just saying that it feels sacred. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist, atheist or agnostic. When we create, we all feel it. Creativity is the universal language that transcends every boundary that we've built. I saw this phenomenon in all my notes in my books. The creative act says that art is our portal to the unseen world. Creator Die says that when someone says that you have a creative spirit, they're acknowledging the very spiritual nature of creativity. The artist way. It says that art is an act of faith because artists are visionaries who move toward a goal that's often visible to us but invisible to the world around us. And Keep Going says that art is a spiritual exercise that can make your soul grow. Think about it. When you listen to music from a culture completely different from yours, you still feel something. When you see art from across the world, from across centuries, it still moves you. That's because creativity bypasses belief systems entirely. It speaks directly to what we share. Harvard researchers confirmed that every known human culture has made music and that people can even recognize emotions in songs from cultures they never encountered. This is why art has always been humanity's bridge across divides. Music brought down the Berlin Wall, poetry sparked revolutions, dance connects strangers, stories makes enemies remember they're human. Creativity is proof that beneath all of our differences, religious, cultural, political, there's something we all share, some deeper truth that we're all trying to express. And the proof is the feeling that we all share in the creative process. Like, really think about it. When you're creating, like really creating, you can't hide. You can't pretend to be someone that you're not. You can't perform or people please your way through a painting or a song or a poem. All the masks fall away. All the shoulds and supposed tos disappear. What's left is just you, the raw, the real, the unfiltered you. And maybe that's terrifying. Maybe that's why many people avoid creating altogether. Because in creation, you confront yourself. You face your fears, your desires, your contradictions. You discover things about yourself that you didn't even know were there. But here's what I've learned: that confrontation is where the sacred nature of creativity lives. I remember the first time I really felt this. I was 10 years old, and overnight my life changed when my dad got injured on his job. He was bedridden and unable to work ever again. And as a kid, I didn't know how to process that. It's like, how do you process watching your hero suddenly become fragile? And so my mind did what minds do when they can't make sense of something. It gave me nightmares. The same nightmare every single time I closed my eyes to rest. In the dream, I was tied to a pole in the middle of an endless field on a dark, stormy night. And as rain hit my face, I could look in the distance and I could see a tiny dot. And it kept getting bigger and bigger. And as it got closer, I noticed it was a revolving, massive boulder inching toward me. And I tried to escape. I pulled at the ropes and I screamed, but I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything but watch this thing get closer and closer and closer until it hit me and I jolted awake. My heart was pounding and sheets were soaked in sweat. And this went on for days. I was afraid to sleep, afraid to close my eyes until one night I couldn't take it anymore. I rolled out of bed and laid on the bedroom floor and turned on my little desk lamp and I grabbed a pencil and some paper. At the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just drawing, right? But something magical happened. The second my pencil touched the paper, I wasn't in my bedroom anymore. I wasn't thinking about the nightmare. I wasn't thinking about my dad laying in pain in the next room. I wasn't thinking about homework or friends or all the ways I didn't fit in at school. I was just present, completely, utterly present. My hand moved across the paper like it knew something my mind didn't. Lines became shapes and shapes became forms, and suddenly there on the paper was the boulder from my nightmares. But this time, I wasn't tied to a pole. This time, I was the one controlling it. And for the first time in my life, at 10 years old, I understood what people meant when they talked about feeling connected to something larger than themselves. That night, I slept peacefully, and the nightmare never came back because I had found something more powerful than fear. I found the power of creativity. Here's what I want you to understand: you don't need to be good at art, you don't need training or talent or expensive materials. You just need to show up with curiosity instead of judgment, with presence instead of performance anxiety. You need to schedule a day, not an hour, a whole day, to get to know yourself through creating. No agenda, no goal, no audience in mind, just you and your materials. Whether that's a canvas, a guitar, a notebook, a camera, or even just your voice recording your stream of consciousness. Create like no one will ever see it because they don't need to. This isn't for them. This creative session is for you. When you create, you're not just making something, you're remembering something. You're remembering who you were before the world told you who you should be. You're remembering what it feels like to trust your instincts. You're remembering that you have something inside you that no one else has. Something that wants to be expressed, to be seen, to be shared with the world. I felt this thousands of times now when I paint, when I code, when I write blogs and books and poetry. It's that moment when you're creating and suddenly I'm not even there anymore. I'm not trying anymore. I'm not forcing or pushing or struggling. I'm just channeling. Something moves through me that feels bigger than me. Call it flow state, call it source, call it the muse, call it whatever makes sense to you. But in those moments, I know why I'm alive. Not because of what I'm creating, but because of who I am becoming when I create. So here's what I'm asking you to do: stop treating creativity like a hobby. Stop treating it like something you'll get to when you have time. Stop treating it like it's selfish or indulgent or impractical. Creativity is how you remember who you are. It's how you stay connected to what matters most. It's how you contribute something to the world that only you can contribute. So create something today, not because you have to, not because you should, but because something inside you is calling. And that call, that pull that's pulling you toward creation, that's sacred. So honor it. Because when you do, you don't just make art, you make yourself whole.